You heard that our focus for the whole month is sowing seeds of peace. And today we're starting off with the topic, the ultimate future. And that's in this chapter that we're reading together from A New Design for Living. And he begins right off at that chapter saying, whether you express your thoughts, your ideas about the future, or you just keep them to yourself, expressed or unexpressed, your ideas about your future are affecting profoundly the way you show up in the world. So that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at the immediate future for our planet and our culture, our species, as well as the more distant future in terms of eternity. We'll start talking about that next week. But for now, we're going to be talking about the immediate future and how what I think about the future affects how I show up for the today. For example, if I don't think there's a future for me, why try to improve the way I communicate or express or listen? Or if I can't conceive of a better world, then why treat this one any better? Why worry about using the resources? Those are the sort of things that we're looking at. Are they operating in me? Are they affecting me? We in our movement have a vision for the future, immediate or distant future. It's called the Global Heart Vision, and whenever a host welcomes you here in the morning, you hear snippets of it read in the welcome. So I thought I'd read the entire vision statement for you. I like to bring it out every now and then. It's called the Global Heart Vision. And it starts like this. Whereas in this information age, the global brain has become a reality, we envision the emergence of the global heart to balance and guide the further evolution of humanity as stewards of our planet and all its inhabitants. We see a world free of homelessness, violence, war, hunger, separation, and disenfranchisement. We see a world in which there is generous and continuous sharing of heart and resources. We see a world in which forgiveness is the norm. We see a world in which borders are irrelevant. We see a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. We see a world in which fellowship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. We envision our centers for spiritual living as a bridge across the illusion of separation, a global community of inspired individuals caring for and about each other and the entire planetary family, thereby bringing the gift of active compassion and kindness to the world. We see our local ministries and communities as points of inspiration and influence, effectively advancing this vision of the global heart, a world that works for everyone. I love that, and I love that it's so expansive, and I was remembering this one gentleman, when he first heard that read, he said, I don't believe it's possible. I don't believe it's possible to create a world that works for everyone. He said, I really don't. And then he started to give me all of the reasons, and they were very logical, and they were very compelling, and by the time he was done explaining to me, I was depressed. And he was basically saying, so why work for it? I mean, I don't see how, and so I'm not getting the why of it at all. See, the idea of a vision is to take us beyond the realm of what is ordinary and possible and current. That's the whole idea. It's to lift me and you up out of the known and teach us, inspire us to hope, to grow, to risk, to stretch. There's another famous impossible vision, a biblical vision in Isaiah. It's called the peaceable kingdom. And it's sometimes described with this phrase, the lion shall lay down with the lamb. That's not exactly how the text occurs in Isaiah, but that's how people refer to it. The lion shall lay down with the lamb. In the text, it says something like, it talks about the wolf dwelling with the lamb while the leopard lies with the kid and the rose grows without, that whole thing. So this vision of the lion laying down with the lamb, over time, very practical people have poked fun at it. Like the novelist Martin Amis, who commenting on it said, "Only in art will the lion lie down with the lamb and the rose grow without thorns." Or D.H. Lawrence, who said it this way, "No absolute, no God, no power, no absolute is going to make the lion lie down with the lamb unless the lamb is inside." Or Woody Allen, who said, "The lion will lay down with the lamb, but the lamb won't get much sleep." See, practical people. There's this practical side that's logical and reasonable, can't see how it will happen. So I don't get drawn into the why of it. But here's the thing about visions. Visions can be deliberately provocative. They can be deliberately beyond what is normal and reasonable. They're deliberately outside of the realm of the ordinary and the possible, so as to stretch us out of ordinariness so that we wake up and go, "What? How?" To be called into the why of it. And what is the why of it? Well, today, for peace to come. And for peace to come, the ordinary way of current things will not be enough. No ordinary thinking will give us this extraordinary idea of peace. I remember having the same startled experience when I read Ernest Holmes, our founder, when he wrote his statement of, "I believe," and I read, "I believe that the ultimate goal of all life is a complete emancipation of every discord of any nature, and that all people are sure to attain this goal." And I said, "What? How? I don't see how." Oh, but the why of it continued to draw me in and inspire me, because I realized something inside of me already agreed with this logically impossible idea. Something already was planted in me for it. I recognized it. See, it's deliberately provocative. And maybe it is so that it nudges out of us the answer to the question, well, in that case, what needs to shift? What must change? In our world right now, there's a lot of talk about shift. Coming up in December, there's this significant date. You know what I'm talking about? Either 12/12/12 or December 21st. We're talking about the end of the Mayan calendar, and some people are interpreting it as a potential transition point in which the earth and all of its inhabitants may undergo beneficial physical and spiritual transformation. And other people are interpreting it as, an event that marks the beginning of a new era. And for a new era to begin, an old era has to end. And so there's a lot of talk going on about transformation and beginnings and endings. And I don't know what will happen in December, but it nudges out a question that's good for any time, for all times. What needs to end so that a new beginning can take place? And so I love visions. It lifts me up, drags me out, plants in me ideas that are beyond the realm of possibility that I aspire to. Like peace on earth and goodwill to all humankind. I was recently reading a popular journalist's writing about global warming. And he says that the reason why so many people continue to reject the idea, the reality of global warming, even though scores of scientists across dozens of countries, across dozens of years, continue to affirm the scientific accuracy of it, they continue, he says, to reject it because they cannot imagine how they can possibly incorporate the changes that will be necessary. They cannot incorporate what it must mean for them to personally adjust to a lifestyle in which they will not have access to and use of the resources that they currently use. And not only that, there is this underlying, unexpressed fear of what will happen if we stop consuming all of these resources now that we have trained so many emerging nations to be hungry for the same resources that we have, and will they take us over and consume us? It's going to take a lion lying down with a lamb. It's that big. It's that huge. And I don't know how. Oh, but I can see the why of it. In Isaiah, to answer the question of how this impossible dream of a peaceable kingdom will come about, he points to the coming of a Messiah. He sets the hope on a miraculous birth, which in our tradition we take as a metaphor for that pure, new idea, fresh start to be made welcome in our own consciousness. And in Isaiah he says, and his name will be called Emmanuel, God with us, which we take as a metaphor to be the birth, the nurturance of that idea in us, the welcoming of the presence of the creative power of the universe, God, within us. And when we collectively come to know that, when we tip the balance, when more people are co-responsible for being channels of the creative genius of the universe, then the Prince of Peace reigns through us. And joy to the world. The Lord has come. You know that song, Joy to the World? There's a phrase in it that we don't often hear. We don't often sing it here, but it goes like this. No more let sin and sorrow grow. No thorns infest the ground, nor thorns infest the ground. No more let sin and sorrow grow, nor thorns infest the ground. It's a vision. It's a vision of a world that works for everybody. It's a vision of a peaceable kingdom, which Isaiah describes like this. They shall not hurt or destroy in all of my holy mountain, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of God. I believe that there is something essentially right with creation, with us. And that every being can experience or be supported in experiencing a more joyful life and more peace. And I believe that kindness is the most powerful pathway to contributing that peace and that joy in this world. And I believe that practices such as prayer and meditation and spiritual study and services to others and giving are what bring us to that new start. Bring us to the place where we can open the door, a new era of mutual nourishment and kindness. Who knows what December 2012 will bring? If anything, it's brought an awareness to me of how important and precious life is. And I got a little peek at that, a reminder again when I started to read this month's recommended book, Your Life on Purpose. I actually didn't get further than the quotes listed in chapter 1. They were so compelling. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. It is only when we truly know and understand that we have a limited time on earth and that we have no way of knowing when our time is up that we will begin to live each day to the fullest as if it were the only one that we had. Powerful. And next week, what we're going to be talking about is the endless parade of individual moments called the eternal now. And we're going to talk about the concept of immortality from a metaphysical perspective to see how that might relate to us and the way we show up in the world today. I invite you now to join me in prayer. There is only one life. That life is God. That is the life that each one of us is living. It is the life that is pouring itself out through our consciousness into experience. It is the life that is waking up to itself through our choices and our creative participation. It is the awakened awareness in us of our co-journey, our co-creation, our participation in life. And by means of this prayer, we are establishing ourselves in the deep and soulful recognition of the rightness, the goodness of our souls, the clarity of our minds, the openness of our hearts, and the beauty of our creativity. By means of this prayer, we are banishing any idea of our helplessness, and we are taking on with fortitude and courage and strength the knowledge that we can create, we can decide, we can influence, we can direct. We are life expressing beautifully. We take to that with responsibility and compassion and kindness, and we take a stand for what is good and true and beneficial. In deepest gratitude, there rises up a sense of release and surrender as we release this word of prayer to that aspect of the divine that we sometimes call the law of mind. In so doing, we become reacquainted with the idea of effortlessness, the idea of a universe that responds to us as us, now revealing to us pathways, opportunities, ideas, insights, and understanding so that we may bring into being a world that works for everyone, little by little, brick by brick, thought by thought, love by love. I invite you now to breathe in with me and exhale into a moment of quiet contemplation.